let's go back to when we were talking about when we were after the scare and the panic, when we saw the numbers come in and it's buyers are engaging again earlier, because let's face it, we were all assuming that's just going to be the opposite. AI, we thought with AI and LLMs, we're going to even wait later or longer before we engage with sellers. We found the opposite. So let's talk a little bit about the AI impact.
Questions that we asked in the original survey where we asked, did you use LLMs in the process of your buying? 94% said yes. So that your immediate thought is, okay, that's got to be it. But then we have some other things, right? So we also, we just looked at the 6% of buyers who said that they did not use LLMs and then 94% who did, and asked the question, when did they engage? Is that different? It is different, but buyers who didn't use LLMs engaged earlier, not later, which tells us right off the top, it can't be using LLMs that's driving buyers to do it earlier. But we also asked, when in your buying journey did you use LLMs? And they could pick multiple. And I think a lot of the buyers did pick multiple places. But what's interesting is the number of buyers who said that we used them in the middle of the buying journey, as opposed to the early buying journey, was statistically and meaningfully larger. So buyers were more likely to be using them in the middle of their journey than the beginning. So like 45 in the beginning, 55 or 56 or something in the middle, and then hardly any LLM usage at the end of the buying journey. So it's mostly in those early 2 stages, but more in the middle than the end. And then the use cases that they were using them for, are all of the things that you would expect, right? So synthesize information for me. Give me a table that shows the key decision factors that we should be looking at for vendors. But I think when we think about this, we all have to think about how we use LLMs and what's useful about them for us and what is not that useful. And I think for the most part, when we're using ChatGPT or Claude or whatever, and we're having them engage on a topic that we know well, you end up having to correct the LLMs a lot, right? You have to say, no, that's not right, go put it back. So we might be thinking about buying a car or something like that. And we've got 3 or 4 models. We've already done a bunch of research on that cars. We bought cars many times, and this is very much like B2B buyers. So we might be saying, okay, well, put these 4 cars, go find the information on these 4 cars, put it in a table, and here's the 10 things I want you to list out. And you get that thing back, and it's not the 10 things you asked for. It's 6 things and then 4 other things that it thought of. And then it's incomplete and there's some wrong information. That's what we experience day in and day out with these things. Same thing in B2B. It's not getting everything right. You have to go tell it what put there. So why is that useful? Well, otherwise, I'd have to type out the whole damn thing, right? So it's easier for me to prompt the LLM and to correct it and then have it give me this nice table than it is for me to type out that whole thing. And I don't have to go to all the websites all the time, pick all that stuff out. So it's still useful. It still saves a lot of time. It's not substituting for going to vendor websites. And so
a lot of people are thinking that it is changing and replacing part of that, right? Because if you challenge an LLM, you can only do that if you're informed.
Right.
I mean, otherwise you believe everything that's
right.
spitting out.
Yeah, and you would be made to look very foolish very quickly if that's what you did.
Yeah.
I think we all know that.
Yeah.
And yet, you see so many people online saying, oh, LLMs are taking over and buyers are just using LLMs or agents are talking to agents. They may at some point. It's conceivable. That is absolutely not happening now. Because now you think about what's going on in a B2B buying process. If you're the budget holder, you're the ultimate decision maker for this thing, you're buying something that's $50,000, $100,000, $200,000, $1 million bucks. This is a really risky moment for you as a professional. You're making a big decision that's going to impact you, your department, your company. Absolutely nobody is trusting the primary research on that to a third party. In fact, you consult real third parties, but you're not going to offload that primary research to ChatGPT right now. You're just not going to do it. That doesn't make any sense. Nobody's getting the readout from ChatGPT and walking over to the CFO's office and saying, this is what I'd like to buy. Right? You may have that readout and say, hey, I've got a readout. You can look at all of that stuff we put in it, but I am the one who made sure that all of that stuff was right. And I knew that stuff going in. So, they're useful. But then we also, in our survey, we ask, how many interactions did you have with vendors across your buying journey. We've been asking that for 3 years. That hasn't changed. So the number of interactions with vendors, digital, human, same numbers it's been for the last 3 years. The use of LLMs is additional to what people have been doing before, but not a substitute. The other thing it's not a substitute for yet is using consultants and analysts to help out in that buying process. So we've seen in the past where buyers, about 70% of buyers say they worked with analysts or consultants during that buying process. That number went up to 77% this year, right? So it's additional right now to the buying process. I think we're a long way from it substituting for real primary research on the part of the buyer. But then I'm sure we'll get to it. There's other things we have to think about the buyer that really explain more of this.
Yeah, one of the dangers actually, I think it comes from the world of psychology. It's a German word, but it's used by everyone. It's called Hineininterpretieren, where you predict what's going to come in the future based on your experience from the past. And I think a lot what's happening right now about SEO, LLM optimization, that the way people were using a search engine in the past and the way it was producing outcomes, that the way we think we need to kind of see LLMs, that we're substituting the Google search now with LLM. But I think we're going to start using it differently, because not when you're doing B2B buying, but as a consumer outside of your working hours, what you were just saying, the outcomes that an LLM gives you, you challenge it because you sometimes just don't trust the answers. And if that you start realizing that in your personal life, that will have an impact on your business decisions as well, right? So
absolutely
the book hasn't been written on how people will behave with these things as these LLMs also become quote unquote smarter or dumber. I mean, whatever label we give it.
There's the folks at LinkedIn are doing some good research around this. They call buyability, but the truth about B2B buying is, in many cases, it's as emotional or more emotional of a process as consumer buying, but the emotions are different. When you're buying things in your consumer life, for the most part, unless it's like insurance, you're buying things because you want to acquire something, right? You want to have something that you like or you want, or it's going to be useful. When you're buying in B2B, your primary emotions are, especially when times are tough, are more negative. They're avoidance. We need a solution to do this. Maybe I'm excited about what it's going to do for us, but I'm also very concerned that it's not going to work. And if it doesn't work, the implications for me are much, much bigger than if I get a washing machine I don't like, right? And so there's a different set of emotions. They're really important, and they drive the decision-making process in B2B such that you have to be trusted. You have to be, as LinkedIn is now putting, you have to be buyable, and that's a group decision, which makes it even more.